saya start setting participant ya.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you to joining us. Welcome back to our regular events, pranks. This is our 68. Okay, I'm Raisuli. I'm board member program PMI Indonesia chapter. Today's our topic is contribution to sustainability through project management. We will learn from the Ricardo, yeah, about sustainable project management and project that are making positive impact in our world. As we know, project is not about triple constraint, yeah, scopes, cost, and schedule. Project management is goes beyond of that. Yeah, it's a key of profession that can make a huge positive impact in our world if we apply a sustainable approach. Okay. I will introduce Ricardo, our speaker tonight. It's very honored to having you, Ricardo. Hello, hey, Ricardo, how are you?
Hello, Rajuli. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. I'm very well. Thank you. What about you?
For information, Ricardo now is in Madrid. Yeah. Ricardo is now is a principal consulting project management at Microsoft. He is seasoned project management professional with experience more than 22 years experience. He have a led project, program portfolio, and project office more than 40 countries and in many continents. Industry, his industry like telco, energy, manufacturing industry. He already working at multinational company like Ericsson, Telefonica, and Microsoft. Ricardo is included in top 50 top leader and influencer in project management list by Thinkers 360. Also top 50 project management leaders in 2022 list by Leadersam, is awarded also by its SMF for the commitment and profession. Okay, before we start, all participants will be on mute and video turn off. If you have a question, submit it in the chat box here. You write the Q before you write the question, so we can read your question. This session will be recorded, but the recording not upload to YouTube channel. E-certificate will be distributed to all participants who join this session. Auto submission PDU will exclusive for PMI Indonesia chapter member only. Okay, the last is happy learning, and please give us feedback. Thank you, Ricardo. Now you can start your presentation.
Perfect. Thank you, Rajuli, for the introduction. Thank you, PMI Indonesia chapter, for the invitation today to the session. And thank you, everybody that is with us here this evening in Indonesia. Yeah, because these sessions where we share knowledge are very, very important for us. We have to make use of our communities and learn from each other. That's important, very important for our profession. So yeah, as Rajuli mentioned, I have been working in more than 40 countries, but Indonesia is not yet one of those. So hopefully someday in the future will be one country as well where I will be able to contribute to the profession, to the project management profession. But today we're going to do a simulation with one of the challenges that I've learned from Rajuli that you have in Indonesia, that is about the cement industry. So at the end of the presentation, we'll do a real example based on the situation that you have in the cement industry in order to try to find out ways to apply a sustainable approach using project management in the cement industry. So let's start. I would like to have an interactive session as far as possible. So you see here that you have some options here in Zoom where you can say yes or no, or you can put icons. As well, you can do questions during the presentation. So I will review the chat. So as far as there are questions, I will be happy to answer during the session or at the end in the Q&A. But before starting, let's talk about impact. So here is the first question for you. So you see here that you have a button that is called reaction. So I would like if you can vote there, you will see that there is a yes or no. If you can vote, who of you think that project management can make an impact? Who yes, who of us think that yes, project management can make an impact? Who of us, of you, think that project management does not make an impact? If you can vote in using the reaction button. Okay. Okay. Perfect. So let's look at some figures that we have in some reports regarding impact. If we go to the PMI Pulse of the Profession that was published in the 2018, there it was stated that 9.9% of each dollar invested in projects is wasted. due to poor project performance, or due to poor project management. So that's 10% of each dollar. So that's 10% of each of the investments that we are doing in projects is wasted. So if you think about the budget of your project, just do a quick calculation of 10% of that budget, and you will see that it's a huge amount of money what we are wasting in the projects based on poor project performance. So 10% is a quite considerable figure. And if we look at the report published by The Economist together with Brightline Initiative, as well in the 2018, there it was published that around $1 million is wasted every 20 seconds. So imagine just in 20 seconds, $1 million wasted in the world. And if we do the calculation of how much money does it mean per year, we get the figure of 2 trillion of US dollars. So that's basically something massive. So 2 trillion US dollars, something that if we do a comparison with, for example, the market capitalization of the biggest companies in the world, right now, I think Apple is the only one that is over the 2 trillion US dollars. So that means that with the waste that is produced by poor project management in the projects, we could buy any company in the world. So even my company, Microsoft, that I think now is below the 2 trillion US dollars in market capitalization. So you see that this is something huge. And if we compare this figure with the PIB of the countries, 2 trillion is like the PIB of the Brazil, that is one of the biggest countries in the world. So you can see in these comparisons that the waste of money that is happening in the world every year is huge. So yeah, most of you agreed in the chat that project management makes a big impact. And in fact, these reports confirm that it makes a huge impact. And this is just looking at the financial perspective. Later, we'll look at different perspectives, not only the financial. Okay, so moving to the next slide, I want to start, Rajuli, it's a very good presentation, introduction about myself. I want to explain you a little bit more about my why I'm working in this profession. Because I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Simon Sinek book, it's Start With Why. It's an excellent book that I recommend to all of you to read if you have the chance, because what he recommends there is always start with why, because the why drives the purpose, and people, we follow the purpose. If we are aligned with a common purpose, we'll for sure will perform better in everything we do that contributes to achieve that purpose. So let's start with the why, with my why. So here, as Julie mentioned, I'm currently working for Microsoft. And I have been awarded different awards in the last years, top project management in the world, based on Leaders Hand, Thinkers, top leader in project management, and so on. And basically, what I wanted to tell you here is that all these awards came in the last years, and it's because I changed my purpose in the profession, because I've been working for many years in this profession. So in fact, I started in the year 2006. So it was 17 years ago in this profession. And I joined the profession as a way to try to get a promotion and try to apply the knowledge I got in my career and MBA. So it was like a way to try to do things that could fulfill more what I have been prepared for in the last years during my education. So it was a try to get a promotion internally in my company. And this is one of the reasons, or the main reason why many of us is working as project manager, because we think this is a way to move from a technical role to a project management role, and it's a way to grow in our career. And this is very valid, and it's the most common purpose why people start working as project managers. But my purpose changed in the year 2020. In the year 2020, that all of you will remember, was the year of the pandemic worldwide, COVID. In that year, here in my country, we were locked down for a few months, so we were not able to go outside of home. So during that time, I joined an initiative that was created by Antonio Nieto, that I think he was as well speaking in this chapter a couple of years ago, I think. By the way, for the ones of you who doesn't know him, Antonio Nieto was the former president of PMI. He was of the most influential persons in project management in the world. He recently published a book in Harvard Business Review. It's a project management handbook, so he's a world reference in the field. And he created a group where we were meeting every week from home, because we were not able to go outside our homes. So he built a team with people from all around the world that were experts in different topics. And many of them, in fact, are Harvard Business Review collaborators. Some of them were in Forbes. Many of them have been awarded like the best thinkers of the world, the best strategies of the world. So there were people that were like considered the best in their fields in this group. And we were meeting every week. And we were talking about what can we do in order to try to make a positive impact in the world in this pandemic situation where we have many constraints, many people is suffering. And we were thinking and brainstorming. And in these sessions is where I discovered the power that the project management profession has and can have in the world. And one of the ways is through sustainability. And that's why at that moment I thought, okay, I've been working for many years. My former company was Telefonica, but I was very focused on specific projects related to the telco and app development. And at that moment, I thought I would like to move to a company where I can make a bigger impact, because I will be able to have more technology and work in different industries. And that's why in the year 2021, I moved to Microsoft, because in Microsoft, I will see later, we believe in a common purpose that is contribute to the sustainability, empowering every person and every organization in the world to achieve it, as we'll see later. From that year, I started to talk in different events. Now I'm PMI speaker, so I used to speak in different PMI chapters. And what I always try is to transmit to you that the power, that the influence that we can have in the world through project management is huge. And we have to believe in that, because it's true. And I'll give you some examples later on. So for today, the agenda is structured in the why, the how and what. And this is influenced by the book I told you before, written by Simon Sinek. I start with why. So I will do the same. I will start with why, and then we'll move in the how and what. I don't see any questions so far, so I will move.
Not yet. I will inform you if there is a question.
Okay, so I will move to the why. Okay, so about the why, if I ask you which one is your why, which one is your purpose, for sure, we are going to get many different answers from all of you, because at the end, almost every person has a different purpose. So maybe we could find one common purpose in all of us that could be like the final purpose of our lives is to be happy. That could be something in common for all of us. But if we are not going to that final purpose of to be happy, for sure, if I ask you, if each of you is going to give me a different purpose for your life, for your work, and that happens as well in the organizations, in the companies. At the end, every company has a different purpose. So it's important to first identify which one is our purpose, because based on that purpose, we'll be able to define the how and what, how to achieve that purpose and what to do to achieve that purpose. But first, we need to define which one is our purpose. And it's not something simple because, as I told you, so I found my purpose in the year 2020 when I joined this group led by Antonio Nieto with thinkers around the world, that my purpose is going to try to contribute to make a positive impact in the world through project management, through the projects I manage, and trying to share knowledge to others like I'm doing today, to what can you do to try to contribute to have a better world. But it's something that we have to reflect ourselves. Which one is our purpose? And our companies do the same. So in every cycle, strategic cycle, they think which one is our purpose. And based on that purpose is how we define what we do. So, but normally when you are defining the purpose, there are different drivers of change. So at the end, each of us have different motivations. Our companies have different motivations, but at the end, there are some common pillars, drivers of change that I call here, that makes companies to do what they do. And basically, the different aspects are first the crisis. So based on crisis, like the example I was giving before, the pandemic, COVID pandemic, based on the crisis, companies, I'm going to refer to companies now, companies need to change. Why? Because if you remember with the lockdown, I'm not sure if Indonesia you had lockdown and for how long. But here in Spain, I think it was around 3 months, and it was a change for all of us, because at the end, one day the government decided you cannot go outside of home, you have to stay there, but people had to keep working. So for many companies, it was a real impact because they were not prepared to have people working from home. They did not even have the facilities or the equipment to do it. So it was a great change. So crisis, as in this case, brings change. So suddenly companies had to redefine the way of working, had to provide equipment and capabilities and technology to the people in order to facilitate the people to be able to work remotely. So this is one of the biggest motivations for change. When there is a crisis, there is a change. And in many cases, it's a change that is forced, it's not a volunteer. At the end, companies are forced to change due to the crisis. Another driver of change is the regulation. When the government defines a new regulation, a new law, companies have to adapt and be compliant with that regulation. So that's another driver of change as well. In most of the cases, it's not a volunteer change, it's a forced change, but it's something that we have to do. Here, for example, in the European Union, there are new regulations coming related to sustainability, CO2 emissions. So at the end, companies have to adapt and think how are they going to be able to comply to these new regulations. So that's another driver for change in the companies. Another driver for change is the optimization. And this is something as well that is happening now. Optimization now I will not say we are in a crisis like in the one we had in the COVID, but we are living in a crisis because, as you most probably are reading in the newspapers, there are layoffs in most of the major companies, including my company, Microsoft. So all the big companies are laying off people in the last weeks. And every day you open the newspaper and you see a new company is laying off 10,000. So we are in a moment of companies looking for optimization, reducing the teams, reducing the headcount, but on the other hand, trying to deliver more. In fact, our new motto now at Microsoft is do more with less. So we have to do more, deliver more value, more impact to our customers, but with less people, because there are 10,000 people that are being left off in the company. So we have to do more with less. So that's another driver of change. So you cannot be doing the things the same way if you have to do more with less. So you have to change the way you are doing things. So this is another way, another driver for the change in the companies. Companies looking for optimization. There is another driver of change, that is the differentiation. Here, for example, one common example is Apple. Apple always is positioned like, from a branding perspective, like a different product compared to the rest of the mobile phones or rest of the iPads. I will say, I was going to say iPad because when I think about the iPad, the name that is coming to me is iPad. It's not, in fact, I don't remember the name for describing this object. So you can see here how well is positioned Apple, that when you think in this product, you think in the name that they are giving to his product, that is iPad. So when companies try to differentiate, they change as well their positioning in the market and the things they are developing, the products and advertising their products and their marketing activities. So everything changed. And our great example is Apple. Apple always is selling us a differentiation. And the final driver of change is the purpose. So as said before, this is one of the biggest drivers for change and for aligning people on working towards the same objectives. And it's the purpose. When you have a purpose well defined and that the people believe in, the people is going to be more motivated to work for your organization, for contributing to achieve this purpose. And is one of the greatest ways that companies have to make people to be, let's say, happy working in those companies, is to work aligned with a purpose that they believe in. So here there are 5 different drivers for change. But if you think about sustainability can fit in all of them. Because if we think about sustainability from a crisis perspective, I'm sure that you have been attending many sustainability events or meetings where the speaker starts saying, we don't have time, the world is going to be over in 5 years because the CO2 is increasing, so we have to dramatically change everything immediately, because if not, the planet is not going to survive. So that's a way to position the sustainability from the crisis perspective, or we change or the world is not going to survive. So it's a way to approach sustainability from the crisis perspective. Another perspective is from the regulation. As I said before, in the European Union, where Spain, my country, belongs to, there are new regulations in order to limit the CO2 emissions, in order to try to contribute to decrease the temperature increase that is happening in the world. So based on regulations, the companies have to adapt to them. So sustainability through regulation is another way where sustainability is linked to. So if there is a regulation that is forcing me to be more sustainable in my processes in order to reduce the emissions in my factories, for example, is a driver for change. Sustainability as well in the optimization part, because if we are doing more with less, that means that we are using less resources. And I'm not talking only about human resources. I'm talking mainly about physical resources. Like, for example, it could be in the case that we'll see later of the cement, the water that you need. If you have a process that for producing the cement, the need of water is reduced compared to what you need right now, is another way to address the sustainability through the implementation of optimized processes of way for workings through projects. This is a way to impact positively the sustainability as well. Another one is differentiation. And now there are some companies that some people say that they are doing greenwashing. So that means that they are pretending that they are moving into the green, let's say, to a more sustainable approach, but it's just a marketing approach. So that's another way, sustainability through differentiation, through marketing as well. And finally, we have sustainability through the purpose. There are some companies that in the mission of the company, the purpose that they are trying to achieve is directly related to sustainability. So the purpose is not to earn more money or to deliver more value to the stockholders. Some companies already in the purpose, they have missions and visions directly related to sustainability, as we'll see later. So these are 5 drivers for change where you see that sustainability applied to all of them. Okay, so if there are no questions here. Okay, yeah, there is one question here. Shifting switching purpose rapidly and end up with a success. How do we find out when the right time is? The right time to change the strategy normally is before you need to change it. So that means when things are going well is when you have to start working on how you are going to change in the next coming months, because if you change when things are going bad, it's already late. So when the right time is a good question, because the right time is, for example, in the COVID pandemic in 2020, many companies were forced to change when people were not able to go to their offices. That was the right moment? For sure not. It was too late. It was too late because it was a reactive measure, try to find ways to facilitate to the people to work from home. The right time was, what was the right time before this happened? In my case, I was already working from home in my company, in Telefónica. So I was already used to work from home in a hybrid mode. So I was going some days to the office, some days from home. I had the equipment to work from home. So my company, Telefónica, was prepared for this situation. Most of the companies were not prepared. So when is the right time? Before you need it. So, and that needs a way to envision how it's going to be the future. So that's why the most competitive and the most successful companies, they are like one step ahead of the others, because they envision how is the future going to be, and they get prepared for the future before it's too late, as for many companies happen in the pandemic. Okay, let's once that we have seen the different ways why companies may move to sustainability based on the drivers for change that we have seen before, now let's move to the how. How can the organizations achieve the sustainability through the ways that we have seen before. So here, this is the pyramid of the strategic organization implementation. That is the pyramid where we start from the top with the vision of the company that defines the mission, that itself defines a strategy, and the strategy is achieved through the portfolios that are composed of different programs that are composed of different projects. In some cases, it's not exactly like that. There are projects that do not belong to programs or projects that impact directly in the strategy, but basically the common standard is this one. There is a vision, a mission, a strategy that we achieve through portfolios, that we get in the benefits in the programs, and we get results in the projects. So here the question will be, okay, so if we want to move to a sustainable approach in our companies, from where do we start? So do we start from the vision, or do we start from the projects? So we go bottom up or top down. So here, if anyone wants to answer in the chat while I prepare my answer. Because as you see that we have different layers, you may think, okay, now companies should start defining the vision and then cascading down, or we can already do top down answer, or we can do from the projects, try to engage the rest of the organization into a common vision. Top down as well, Julian. So the most optimal way is from top to down, because if we start with a shared vision by all the company, it's going to be easier for us. But as we'll see now, we can start as well from projects. In fact, we can impact sustainability and try to achieve sustainability in all the different layers. But ideally, yes, we should start from the vision. So let's analyze how to start from top down. For starting top down, you see that we have the vision and the mission. Here I have two missions of two different companies. I'm not putting the names. I will tell you later which one are these companies. So here you see the first company. The mission they have is to empower every person and every organization on the planet. Has never been more urgent. Our actions must help solve the world's problems, not create new ones. We need to deliver innovation that helps drive broad economic growth. As we drive economic growth, we must also commit to creating a more inclusive, equitable, sustainable, and trusted future for everyone. So, as I said before, now the companies are not only driven by the value or delivered to the stockholders or the money that they earn every year. So companies are moving, luckily, to drive economic growth, but not at any price. So in economic growth in a sustainable way. Not only sustainable, if not as well inclusive and equitable. So if your company has this mission, you can imagine that it's going to be easier for all the people working in that company to be aligned and contribute to sustainability, because it's something that is coming from the vision and mission of the company. This company is Microsoft, as we'll see later more examples. And this is another company that is our reason for being is build the best product, cause no unnecessary harm, use business to inspire and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. So in this case, you see that there is not any mention to economic aspects. So there is anything related to growth, money, stockholders, nothing. So this is a company that for them, the purpose is do no harm and try to contribute to provide solutions to the environmental crisis. So this is an example of a company that is driven by a purpose, a sustainable purpose. And this company is Patagonia. I'm not sure if you are familiar with it, but it's a company that in the last months, the owner decided to sell it and use all that money to try to fight the environmental crisis. So if we start with visions and missions with these statements, then to cascade down and contribute to achieve these missions is more aligned in the companies, because everything is going to be starting from this. Once you have defined the vision and the mission of the company, then you have to define the strategy and the portfolio. But basically, the portfolio is the way we contribute to achieve the strategic objectives of the strategy. So regarding sustainability, for companies that are not sure how to do this, the best way is use the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations, because here there are 17 goals defined already that they are in the 2030 agenda, and basically this is a perfect and excellent way to try to define how to contribute to each of them in your portfolios, programs, and projects. So basically, we'll see later in the some examples, but at the end, the companies like Microsoft is focusing on some of those, and there are specific initiatives for contributing to achieving those. So if a company is not sure how to impact sustainability, this is a great start. Just have a look to the different goals defined by the United Nations and try to find out how you can contribute to them. Of course, ideally, it would be great to contribute to all of them, but you know that when a company has many objectives, at the end, there is less focus, and at the end, the results are not as good as if you just put focus in few objectives. So ideally, we should not try to impact all of them, because it's going to be impossible. Even for Microsoft, as we'll see later, we are focusing on 4 of the 17, because it's better to just put focus on some of these and do it well, because if you put too many objectives, at the end, it's almost impossible to try to impact all the different goals. But there is a way as well to start bottom up, because maybe some of you will tell me, okay, this is very nice what you are telling me, that there are companies with missions aligned to sustainability, but my company is not aligned to this. But this does not mean that you cannot do anything related to sustainability. So that's why here I'm presenting the bottom up. So even if my company is not having a purpose aligned to sustainability, a mission where it's trying to impact sustainability in a positive way, we can do it as well in our projects. And we'll see how now. Because basically, as in the project manifesto that was written by Antonio Neto, the principle 1 is that if one day poverty is eradicated from the world, from the earth, it will be through a project. So we have a massive way to impact as well from a project level. And we'll see how now. At the introduction, Julie was mentioning that project management is not about the triple constraint only anymore. And that's the reality, because when I started to work in this profession, and many companies are still in this mindset. It seems that the work of the project manager is to assure that the scope is delivered according to what it was committed at the beginning, with the cost that was included in the budget, and with the schedule that was agreed in the time plan, with the quality established. And yeah, this is true, but there are multiple samples of projects that they deliver with the scope, the schedule, and the cost and the quality as the way it was defined in the kickoff meeting, but they do not provide any value at all. They do not make any positive impact. So that's why we have to move from this to this new model where we are not only focusing on this triangle with the famous triple constraint, if not that we are including other areas where we should focus and to be sure that we are making a positive impact. And these new areas is focusing on people, the prosperity, products and processes, and the planet. And this is not something created by me. So I'm using the sample from GPM Global, I think Green Project Management. That is an association that they have defined a standard line in PMBOK, but with a more broad perspective, as we'll see later. So basically, we have to move from here to here. So we cannot just focus on deliver based on a scope, cost, and schedule if we are impacting in a negative way the planet, or if we are wasting resources, or we are not treating people working in the projects in the right way, in a fair way, or we are delivering products that are impacting our environment. So we cannot just be only focused here. We as project managers, or program managers, portfolio managers, or PMO managers, we have to move from this mindset to this one, because the projects impact not only that specific project, that scope, that cost, that schedule. Each of the projects have an impact in broader areas where we can have a positive or negative impact, depending on how we are leading our projects, programs, and portfolios. Then let's move to the what. So what? I'm using here the samples of my company because are the samples that I know and I'm using, but I could have bring other samples from other companies, but these ones I know that are for real because are the ones where I am working on right now. So as said before, starting from top down, from the mission, Brad Smith is this person, is the president of Microsoft. And here he was at an event here in Spain. What he always says is that we must ensure that the technology, because Microsoft is a technology company, the technology that we create, our company, benefits everyone on the planet, as well as the planet itself. So this is a great way to start with a sustainable approach in all the company. If we all think that the technology we are creating, the technology we are delivering to our customers has to benefit everyone, not just a few people that are able to access the technology, and we are aligned that the technology has to benefit the planet and not to make a negative impact in the planet, this is cascaded down, and we are all working based on this principle. So we have to be sure that we are working, making a positive impact. And the missions have to be aligned with the culture of the company. Because as Peter Drucker said, culture is a strategy for breakfast. And this means that you can define a strategy that can be excellent from a theoretical perspective. But if the culture of the company is not aligned, that strategy will never work and will never be implemented. So we have to focus on the culture of our organizations. And as Satya, sorry, here is wrong the name, is Satya, is the CEO from Microsoft. He always puts a lot of focus in the internal events with us to reflect on our culture and our values, because everything we do is based on those ones. And in fact, next week I have to attend a session that is mandatory for all employees. I have to attend to 2 sessions where we are going to reflect on our culture, because at the end this is something that is life as well. So we have to think and reflect on our culture from time to time. And this is at the heart of the organization. So culture is something that is the root for everything, as Satya said. So it's very important that the culture is aligned to the strategy. And this is very important as well, that people do not leave companies, they leave companies because of the culture of the company. So it's very important to always have a focus on the culture, because if there is not a culture aligned to the strategy, that the strategy will never work. And the culture, our culture here at Microsoft starts with the growth mindset. The growth mindset basically is the willingness to learn every day something new. So this is the way to think that there are not limitations, that we can learn every day something new, we can get skills every day in different areas, that we can grow. That's what is driving our culture. So our culture is based on our continuous growth and learning. And that's one of the things I like working from this company, because I learn every day new things. And how do you get a culture aligned to sustainability? There are different ways. In our case in Microsoft, through training. So we have trainings aligned to sustainability, where we learn first the why. Why is important to have a purpose that is focused on sustainability, and how and what can we do in order to, in our specific role, contribute to the sustainability. Because it's not only that you want to be contributing, you need to know how you can do it. So for Microsoft, it's very important, the training in this aspect. So we get normally a lot of training around sustainability, and we get as well volunteering opportunities where we are in initiatives that are for non-governmental organizations. We apply our technology to contribute to a specific goal. So in this case, for example, where you can see penguins, here we were working with a company that is making photographs of the different penguins in the Antarctic. And with artificial intelligence, we were trying to predict different attitudes in order to try to contribute to the sustainability of the species of the penguin. So we were counting with artificial intelligence how many eggs, where are they in the Antarctica, how do they move. So in order to try to find patterns to help them to survive. And this was another voluntary opportunity that here is a picture where there are many rectangles. Maybe you don't see well what is this, but it's basically straws, is waste that is in the sea. Basically, this is a company that they have developed a mobile application where volunteers around the world can make pictures to the trash that they find in the beach or in the sea. And in this way, the application with artificial intelligence classify the different trash that is in specific areas of the world. And with this information, this company can facilitate to companies that are working to retire this trash from the sea and the beaches, an optimized way to do it. Because if you don't know where is the trash or which one is the trash that you have, you cannot go and clean it. So here with volunteers working with this application based on artificial intelligence, This company is helping to clean different beaches and seas and oceans around the world using artificial intelligence from our products. And as said before, we as well make use of the UN Sustainable Goals. Here we are focused on 4, because as I said before, if you have too many objectives, most probably you will not be efficient in any of those. So it's better to be focused on a reduced number of objectives. So here, for a huge company like Microsoft, we are focused on 4 initiatives, and they are part of our portfolio. And this is official information that can be found in public documentation, where there are a lot of examples of how Microsoft is contributing to quality education through the products and initiatives that we are doing around the world, how we are contributing to have a decent work and economic growth, how are we contributing to climate action, and to peace, justice, and strong institutions. So this does not mean that Microsoft is not contributing to other areas, because in fact we do it at different levels and different projects, but at the corporate level, we are focused on these 4. And from the portfolios, when we have defined the portfolios, which one are the objectives we are going to be working on, we define our programs, that we do it through partnerships. These 2 are 2 partnerships that are I lead in myself here in Spain. Here, the picture in the left is the partnership we signed with Repsol. The Repsol, I think in Indonesia, they have some operations. Repsol is, well, they were called oil and gas company or petrol company in the past. Now they are calling themselves multi-energy company, because they are investing heavily in technology to try to reduce the CO2 emissions, and they are moving into renewable energy in their portfolio as well. So they are moving from, in the past, oil and gas to multiple ways of energy, and we are working with them in multiple innovation initiatives with a common goal, that is to reduce the CO2 emissions to the atmosphere. And for this, what we do is that we at Microsoft, we have a huge portfolio of products. We have products for working hybrid work, for artificial intelligence, for cybersecurity. So we have multiple products. So what we are doing is working in multidisciplinary teams with Repsol, where Repsol, they are the experts in energy. Microsoft, we are the experts in technology. We work together in order to identify in what projects we can work together, mixing our technology and their knowledge in order to contribute to the common goal of this partnership, that is to reduce the CO2 emissions. And not only we are delivering our technology to them, Microsoft to Repsol, if not as well that we at Microsoft, we are using the renewable energy that Repsol is producing in Spain. And we use this renewable energy for our data centers in Spain. So you see that this is a double way collaboration. So we provide technology to help them to optimize some processes, ways they are doing things to reduce CO2 emissions. And we buy their renewable energy for our data centers. So it's a double impact, double positive impact in the sustainability. And the second case I have here is Ferrovial. That this one for sure you know, but Ferrovial is it was a construction company, but now they are expanding their portfolio. They are investing as well in renewable energy, wind and solar. So as well, they are moving from construction to multiple business areas. And our partnership is called Digital Net Zero, because we are working in order to try to achieve zero contribution to the emissions to the atmosphere in the 2030. And this is the same. We have one common purpose. We work in teams from Ferrovial and Microsoft together, and we check which one are the challenges they have, and we see how the technology can address those challenges in order to reduce the impact that the processes they have in the construction, for example, is making in the CO2 emissions and in the emissions in general. And we're working as well in projects for intelligent roads, where once we have autonomous cars, and the cars will be able to communicate with the highways, and this will be a more safe way for drivers to drive, because the cars will have the information from the road, and there will be less accidents. And as well, it will help to optimize the consumption of the energy in the cars, because the routes will be optimized based on data and artificial intelligence. So you see, it's two partnerships, but the goal is always the same: is contribute positively to the sustainability and try to contribute to the goal of net zero emissions in the 2030. And then if we go at project level, this is the GPN framework, the Green Project Management Framework that I mentioned before, where you see that each of the areas that were presented before, they have as well different subcategories. For this, the best way to understand it is with some examples. So I will start with some examples from Microsoft first. So if we go and look into the product or process, one way, for example, now at Microsoft, we are contributing to sustainability is with the reduction of the plastic used in the packaging. Because you know that Microsoft as well manufactures console games, the Xbox and laptops. So the packaging of the Xbox and the laptops and all the equipment that is delivered by Microsoft to the consumers, there are specific projects where the goal is to reduce the plastic that is used in the packaging. Another example as well is the efficiency of the energy used in the products. And this is a very good example, because when we were in the lockdown, as people had to stay at home, what happened is that people start to spend more hours playing video games. And what this means, that at the end, people were consuming more energy in the Xbox, because they were they were playing more hours with the video games in the Xbox. So at the end, for Microsoft, this is an impact as well, because when we are measuring the impact of Microsoft in the planet, it's not just only in what we do, it's in what we sell as well. So if we're selling things that consume a lot of energy, Microsoft considers that this is something internal that is impacting the sustainability. So we are not just focused on what we do in our company, if not as well in what we sell and what these products are consuming or impacting in the world. So here I started one project that was, so it's great that the people is using more time our product, but this is impacting the world because it's consuming more energy. So there was a specific project that the goal was to reduce the energy that the Xbox needs to work. And another project that is ongoing is the products that we manufacture, how to make them in a way that they need less energy in the factories. So how to optimize the way we manufacture products so we need less energy. If we go into the people aspect, here, for example, we have accessibility is one of our core values. So we at Microsoft, we have every year evaluation. So one of the criteria they use for is the accessibility. In fact, the Microsoft Office 365 has features that are related to accessibility. So at the end, these products are feasible to be used by everybody, even if you have some limitations with 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 your sense, you can use all of the products, because one core value is accessibility. So the products should be able to be used by everybody. Diversity and inclusion as well. This is something that is in the core of our values in our projects, that our teams are diverse and inclusive. If we go into the planet, here one example is what I said before. We are using renewable energy. So as you know, one of the main products we sell is the cloud, and basically the data centers need energy. And what we are doing is that we are using renewable energy for the data centers. So it's a clean energy, the one we are using for the data centers. The data centers need as well water in order to work. So as well, there are specific projects with the goal of reducing the water that is needed by the data centers. And another thing that is ongoing is, data centers have multiple, I would say, thousands of servers. And the goal of this initiative is to try to reduce those servers, so not to try to generate waste when a server is at the end of the life cycle. So try to reduce them in other data centers. So these were some examples about Microsoft. And here what I have prepared. And this, if I was on site there with you, we could have an interactive session where we could gather great ideas. But let's try to do it online, just for giving you an example. Using the case of the cement industry that I knew from PMI chapter, that is one of the main challenges you have in Indonesia regarding to impact in sustainability. So what is the first thing I did? So ideally, as said before, when we sign a partnership, we work together with our customers. So in this case, if this was a specific project, I will be working with experts of this industry in Indonesia, that they know which one are the challenges and the issues and the pain points. So in this case, I did not have access to that, as you can imagine. So what I did was just go to Bean, to the new Bean powered by artificial intelligence, and that is in private preview, so it's not released for everybody. But basically, the new Bean, for sure you know ChatGPT. This is a integration of ChatGPT with Microsoft Bean. So what I asked was, which one are the challenges of the cement industry in Indonesia? Because I did not have any clue. So as said, this is something that has to be done with experts in the industry. But in this case, for a quick example for sharing today, I asked the question to the artificial intelligence. And what I got was this. The first challenge in the cement industry in Indonesia, and if anything of this is not accurate, I'm sorry, it's just the sample I got from the bin. But first aspect that says that this challenge is the oversupply, because it seems that the production that you have is over the demand. So at the end, as well, there are competition with cement that is from China that is cheaper. So at the end, it seems there is an issue with oversupply. There is more offer than demand, let's say. Other challenge is that the raw materials that are needed for producing the cement have increased the price, like everything in the last months. So the price of everything is increased, and the price of the coal is increased as well. So at the end, for producing the same amount of cement, the cost is higher because the materials you are using on the coal have a higher price now. Another challenge that Bean is giving me is the stiffer competition, because the market is highly fragmented and there are many players, and the demand said before, in the oversupply is limit. So there are many companies trying to get market share in a market that there is a small demand compared to the capacity. And there are as well foreign companies. So competition is tough. And our challenge is the environmental and social impact. Basically here, what Bean is telling us is that the cement production is among the key drivers of climate change, responsible for 6 to 9% of global CO2 emissions. So we need to find ways to try to reduce the emissions that the process of creating the cement has currently. So I don't know if any of you is working currently in the cement industry that can confirm if these are the real challenge that you have now or not. For sure, there will be in the call, in the session, people that can give us great insights. But as we are running out of time, let's use as an assumption that these are the real challenge. So once we know the challenge, what will we do? So I'm going to focus on the planet aspect. Ideally, we should be going through all the different areas of the product, process, people, planet, prosperity. I'm going to focus just this example in the planet aspect. So here, CO2 emissions is one of the challenges that it was mentioned before. Between 6 to 9% emissions is from the cement industry. So what can we do here? So one thing that we have to explore is projects where we try to implement technology that help us to reduce the amount of emissions. And this can be achieved. For example, I was checking one of our customers that is called FL Smith. It's a Danish company that they are manufacturing equipment for cement factories. They are working with us in order to develop products that create less CO2 emissions in the process of creating the cement. So this could be one option. Try to change the technology that is used right now and use technology that is more efficient related to the emissions of CO2. Another aspect could be logistics or local procurement, because one of the challenges is oversupply. So there is more capacity than demand. So here, first we need to understand why is this happening. I'm not sure if we can reduce the capacity of the factory or not, if it's easy or is something that is complex. But one thing that companies are doing now in order to align the offer to the demand is to use artificial intelligence for forecasting which one is to be the offer in the next weeks and months. And based on the forecast of what is going to be the offer in the market, they are able to adjust the demand. They are able to adjust, sorry, the other way around. Based on the demand that there will be in the market, they are able to adjust the offer. They are able to adjust how much products they are going to manufacture. So here could be another option. I'm sorry, because I'm not an expert in the cement industry, so I'm not sure if it's feasible or easy for a cement factory to reduce the capacity and adjust it based on the demand. But it's something that in other industries is being done. Artificial intelligence for forecasting the offer and the demand. Local procurement as well. Here, cement is using raw materials, and the raw materials and the coal, if they are not coming from Indonesia, that it will be the most effective, because at the end, the impact in the emissions is less. If the materials are near the factory, we could explore options to try to optimize the routes for bringing these raw materials to Indonesia. As well, here there is artificial intelligence use cases where you can optimize the route and the logistics and the procurement of the materials in order to optimize it in a way that the ships or the trains that are bringing the raw materials are trying to reduce the emissions at maximum based of the optimization in the routes. Another aspect could be water consumption and water quality. For producing the cement, you need water. So here, another thing as well that is being worked on in this industry is that the technology that needs less water for producing cement. And this is something that, as mentioned, FL Smith, that is one company that is manufacturing products for the cement industry, is working on. So they are developing products that use less water for producing the cement. And finally, contamination and pollution is quite related. At the end, if we optimize the process, if we find ways to optimize how we are manufacturing or creating this cement, we'll be able to reduce the pollution. And in fact, as well, we can relocate these cement factories to different areas, because now a constraint for deciding where to put the cement factory is the need of water and the need of raw materials. If the water needed is reduced based on new technology used for manufacturing the cement, we can reallocate these factories in different areas. Maybe we could move them to areas where there is more need for people to have jobs, for example, and this is linked to this. Try to create more opportunity for people in different areas that now they cannot have opportunities for working in these factories because they are far away. And as well, to try to find options to relocate these factories in places where the distance to the raw materials and the coal is less. But as I said, this is just an example that I'm not expert in the cement industry. So for doing this in a proper way, we will need subject matter experts in cement industry working together, and based on challenge, decide what in what way, using different technologies in projects and programs, we can deliver in order to optimize the contribution to the emissions that the cement industry is having right now in Indonesia. And this is all I was bringing for you for today. I wanted to finish with this example, but just the key takeaways. We have to believe in our profession. So the impact we can create in our profession as project managers or program portfolio or PMO managers, the impact we can create, positive and as well negative, if we don't work in the proper way, the impact we can create is huge. So we have to believe in our profession. And all change, don't wait for it to happen. So you can be the one producing the change. In fact, the projects are done for delivering change. So we, from our profession, should be the ones embracing change. So even if in your company, the mission of your company is not aligned to sustainability, it starts the change with you. So try to manage the projects in a more sustainable way. And let's see in the future if this is something that will finish as well in the mission of the company. But don't wait for the company to define a mission aligned to sustainability. Try to deliver your projects in a more sustainable way. We can take action in all the different levels. So it doesn't matter because maybe you will say, I'm not the president of my company, or I don't have an executive role, so I cannot decide. All we can, in our roles, take actions. So if we are delivering projects, we can deliver those projects in a more sustainable way. If we are program managers as well, the programs, the portfolios, if we define the strategy, we can contribute to define a strategy aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Goals. So at all levels, we can contribute. And finally, we have to reflect in our purpose. And this is something that is very important because, as I said before, to find our purpose is not easy. Even if our final purpose is to be happy, for sure there will be purpose aligned to our work that maybe we are not right now aware of which one it is. So I will invite all of you to reflect on which one is your purpose and contribute to it through your work. And this is all.
Okay.
Let's see if we have any questions.
Thank you, Ricardo, for the nice presentation. Okay, one question from me. How us, or project management professional that can contribute to sustainability if we have beyond the organization that aim to gain the business or the profit mindset?
Yeah. So at the end, the reality is that all companies, the final goal they have, or the first goal they have, is related to be profitable and grow, because this is the capitalism. So this is the way the world is in most of the countries in the world. So the capitalism is focused always in growth. But here what we have to try is that even if that's one of the goals of the company, we have to be aligned that we cannot achieve that goal by any means. So I mean that we cannot contribute to grow impacting the planet. And this is something that at least here in the European Union is something that the companies are increasingly getting aware of and conscious. They have increased the consciousness a lot. As well, is related to profit, because what is happening is that the biggest fund companies in the world, investment companies, as well, they are putting now a requirement that they demand some sustainability goals to be achieved if they want to get the money from these fund companies. So at the end, it seems that globally there is an increased awareness on the need of the sustainability. Even if the goal is to gain more business, more companies are as well adopting ways to grow in a sustainable way.
Okay, thank you. Okay, gentlemen, if you have a question, please write on the chat.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Can I? Yes. Mr. Ricardo, it seems you have so many projects in the project portfolio. The important things in the project portfolio is prioritize the project itself. Because resources, finance are constrained, right?
Yeah.
So this is like experience, like some company in the past, like Kodak or Nokia, they fail their product. Even they found that some thing that make them fail is they not be able to prioritize the project. Even though some company dies, they will have so many research development people or project, but they still fail. The thing is, they need to survive. So what is the criteria to prioritize the project in terms of survive the company as a corporation, especially?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Hamad. Basically, one of the main drivers of waste that I was mentioning at the beginning of the presentation, these 2 trillion of waste that we have in the world, the main percentage is related to working the wrong projects. So, and that means that at the end, many companies is investing money in projects that are not the ones they should be working on. And this is aligned to the prioritization of the portfolio. Because at the end, what it happens is that if the strategy is not clear, or we are not using a framework where we can align our purpose and our strategy and our strategic objectives to our portfolio programs and projects, what it happens is that there is a disconnect between the strategy and the implementation of the strategy. So the strategy is defined in a way and the implementation is in a different way. And this gap is a waste. So for that, it's key to have the right prioritization of the portfolio. So we should be sure that whatever we are working on that portfolio, all the projects and programs part of that portfolio, they have to impact some of the strategic objectives that are defining the strategy. And for that, for example, what we are using now is the OKRs. And that is a framework that was used by Google some years ago, and now most of the tech companies are using. That is where we define objectives based on the strategy, and then we have key results. And the key result is how we are going to achieve those objectives. And those key results are composed of projects, programs and projects. And this is the way to assure that we are working on the right projects. So because we know that this project is impacting this objective. If we see that there is not any link between one project and any of the objectives, we are wasting time and money. So we are working in a project that is not aligned to our strategy. So we should stop working on that project. So OKRs, this framework, is what the tech companies are using right now to assure that the projects are prioritized in the proper way.
Okay.
Okay, there is a other question on the chat box. Sustainability is often connected to higher costs. Any idea how to change that perception?
Yeah, that's the reality. So normally when people think about sustainability, they think that is something expensive. As we have seen before, the use of, for example, new technology that depending on technology, some will have higher cost or less cost. But there is at the end one goal of using this new technology. That is the final goal is contribute to the sustainability, but as well is what we saw before, that is use less resources, do more with less. So what we are trying to do now is to use less resources, let's say less raw material, less water, less coal, produce more with this technology. So at the end, it is all related to a business case. So the technology may be more expensive, but at the end, if you are having less cost because you are using less material, the business case is going to be positive. So I guess we have to go and review the business case one by one, not just to think, well, sustainability is expensive. So let's look at the whole picture and let's see, okay, for achieving sustainability in, for example, reducing the consumption of water, I need to invest in this new technology or this new material that is produced by this engineering company. We have to look at the whole picture. Say, okay, this is going to cost me X, but I'm going to use less coal, less water, less energy. So at the end, the final picture is positive. This is just looking at the financial perspective, but if we have a broader mind and we see that at the end we are contributing to reducing the emissions, is another criteria for investing on it. And as I said before, here in the European company, there are regulations that are going to force to the companies to reduce the emissions. So if you don't comply, if you don't move to a more sustainable approach, you are going to get fines from the European Union. So at the end, this is going to be a higher cost. So at the end, all is moving into the same direction. That is, let's see the whole picture. To be sustainable is not more expensive, but at the end is something positive for everybody.
Okay. nice perspective. Since we need to see the whole picture and not the cost that we use, but the benefit that we can reduce the resource, yeah, that we can. Okay. Another question. How we can start influencing other people to seriously start thinking about sustainability, not only environment side, yeah, but also in the social and governance side.
For example, in the social, see before, there is one component in this framework that is related to people. And as we saw as well before, one of the missions of my company is to assure equity in the world. So that's another way. So we have to, like in the cement industry, for example, the example I was giving, if now the cement location, the factory location depends on places where there is water enough, if in the future the technology needs less water, this is going to help us to have factories in different areas of Indonesia, for example. So if you have an unemployment rate in some areas of Indonesia that is higher, based on this reduction of needs of raw material, water, etc., can help you to move the different industries around different places in Indonesia and contribute that everybody, no matter where you are living in Indonesia, can have more work opportunities. So from the social perspective, there are many things that can be done as well, making use of sustainability.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, everyone, if you have a question, please chat, or you can open mic so we can more interactive if possible, or write in the chat box. Related to sustainability is, I think, related about the environment, yeah, Ricardo, yeah. I was here, but the ISO 45,000. Do you have hear about that? Is it about the environment? So how to link it?
The ISO. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not an expert. I know that this exists, but I'm not an expert on it. So I will need to go into the details and read it carefully.
Okay. There's a question from Pak Sahlani. What is your opinion on green project management certification? What is in trend?
Yeah, I'm not certified in green project management, but the standard is available in the website, and as it is aligned to the PM book, it's quite easy to follow. So here is the same question that could bring for any certification. Is like, is worth it to have the PMP? Well, depending on the country and the industry, the answer will depend. So in some companies, they demand the PMP certification, and in others not. Some people will say PMP is a way to prove that you have knowledge on project management, and others will say, no, I prefer the practical experience that you have in real projects. So green project management, I went through the standard that is available in the website, and it's quite easy to follow, and it's aligned to the United Nations sustainability goals. And if you are familiar with the PM book, it's going to be very easy for you to follow. About companies demanding this certification, I have not seen any yet, but maybe this is something that in the future may change, and the companies will start asking for requirements related to green project management knowledge. But for now, I have not seen it, but in the future, it may something that can be requested.
Okay. May I continue to other question? Okay, from Pak Hotma. I believe that each individual is very influential on the change of made by company, and also impact and is affected by this change, starting from the business strategy to real project level. Based on your experience at Microsoft, how to ensure that all employee in the company can be involved in the change toward the better sensibility?
Yeah, so everything starts with the culture. So it's very important that the culture of the company is aligned to sustainability. And for that, this is something that in our case is reinforced from the top level every time there is an event. So it's always our focus is to try to contribute to have a better world. In fact, what Satya, what he says is that one company itself is not going to change the world, because even if you comply with all the sustainability requirements, it's just one company. But we have to try that influence all our customers to move into the sustainability. So it's something that is in our culture, and it's something that is internally as well. So we go through different trainings and in order to know what we can do, our specific role in order to contribute to sustainability. We have trainings for increasing the awareness of the need to change based on different criteria. So at the end, it's something that is in our core, it's in our culture. So when something is in the culture, at the end, everybody tries to contribute in the way they can from the different role they have. And we have internal communities. There is one community that is the sustainability community that everybody at the company can join. And there are inspirational talks by influenced people in this area. There is a lot of material that is shared between us in order to find ways to contribute to the sustainability.
Okay, thank you. Let me continue to other question. We have 3 left question. Almost all companies set themselves as environmental friendly, but only a few of them are actually integrate it to the company project and behavior. Any opinion? It's just a slogan.
Yeah, this is the greenwashing that some companies are doing, that they say they are environmentally friendly, but they are not. But at the end, people will know which one is contributing and which one is just marketing. So, as I said before, the fund, the big fund investments, and they are asking for different measures to assure that they are in fact environmental friendly. That is not just marketing. So I think anyway that is good that the people, at least companies are moving into this greenwashing, saying okay, we are green. So that's the first step, and the second is to make sure that they are. But the first step that we have all of us awareness that we should be environmental friendly is very good. Later, based on data and results, we'll find out who is and who is not, because there are very aggressive targets in the 2030 and 2050 to be net neutral in the emissions, and it is something that is going to be measured. So in the 2030, a company cannot say I'm net neutral because it's going to be measured by different entities, and we'll find out if they are or they are not. So, but even if it's greenwashing, it's good that at least there is awareness and they know that the people is valuing more the consumers. I mean, that we as consumers are valuing that the people are more environmentally friendly. yeah, we need to be sure that there are entities that assure that they are in fact environmental friendly, not just doing marketing.
Okay, this is question from Mr. Jumiatul Ikhlas. In EPC project, how we should to approach for sustainability concern?
Here, I'm not sure what is
EPC is
EPC.
EPC is oil and gas. Correct me, Mr. Jumiatul.
EPC stand for Engineering, Procurement, and Construction Project.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm working now with a construction company that is the one I presented, Ferrovial. So basically, the one thing they are doing is to try to optimize the construction itself, and for that, what they are using is digital twins. So in that way, they are able to replicate in a virtual, say, digital twin what they are going to build later. So this is a way to reduce waste because it helps to anticipate how the construction should be, and it's a way to optimize the way they deliver the construction. And as well, they are investing in technology that is producing less emissions. And they are as well in the highway business. They are building highways with IoT devices in order to as well gather data from the highway. So in this way, they can optimize the routes and the toll gates and the traffic jams. This way as well, they are contributing to reduce the emissions. So yeah, there are several initiatives in the construction area that are working towards the sustainability.
Okay, continue to next question from Mr. Ahmad. What are some challenges that project manager may face when implementing sustainability initiative, and how can they address the challenge?
I think one of the main challenges is to move from the mindset of the triple constraint, the scope, time, and schedule. Sorry, scope, time, and the budget.
Schedule, yeah, budget.
Yeah, because at the end, most of the sponsors, what they are going to demand at the end is make sure that the project is finished at this date with this budget and with this scope. So that's one of the main challenge, that the sponsors are still in the old mindset, and we have to move to the broader mindset where we think about how we are going to deliver the project in order to try to reduce the impact in the world. So one way is showing with real samples that at the end you can achieve as well to deliver the project in that specific schedule and with that budget using approaches that are more sustainable. So I think the only way to convince to the sponsors is to show them that both things are compatible. As we were saying before, don't look just at the picture of the cost is going to be higher. So you have to look at the broad picture of the business case. Okay, yeah, maybe the sponsor will need to increase the budget, but at the end, the business case is going to be more beneficial based on what we're delivering. So we have to try to engage the sponsors and show them as well that there is more beyond the time and the scope. But this is something that is not happening in the companies where the vision is aligned to sustainability, because the sponsors are well aligned. But the challenge may happen mainly in the companies where they still don't have this vision or mission of based on sustainability, and they are just focused on time and budget and scope. So that's going to be the main challenge. And I think the only way is to show them that there are other ways to do things in a different way, in a even sometimes more optimized way. And at the end, the benefits that we are going to deliver based on the project and the progress are going to be higher.
Yeah, I think continuing with that question, this is next question is currently sustainability is still based on self-awareness. Do you think we need regulation to enforce?
Regulation is one of the
I think
motivations for change. It's a very powerful motivation. So I guess as I said before, with the example of the COVID, the best driver for change is a crisis. And that's why many people that talks about sustainability, they are very focused on the impact that we are making in the world with the CO2 emissions, and that the world is going to rise the temperature and is going to kill everybody. That's one way that is being used. Regulation is another way. So regulation, if the governments impose some conditions, the companies are forced to follow them, because if not, they are going to get fines, and that's going to increase the cost they have. So at the end, regulation, I will say, is not the optimal way, but it's a very effective way. So, and it's something that is being done already in the European Union. So it's something that I guess is going to be spread. But the issue is that the challenge here is that the European Union is doing it, but at the end, this is not just an effort of one country or one continent. So this is something that the whole world has to be engaged, because if the European Union reduces emissions, but there are more emissions in other parts of the world, we're not going to fix the issue. So yeah, regulation is a way, but I think it's going to be difficult that there will be regulations in all the countries around the world. So that's why I believe that we as individuals need to keep pushing for the change.
Okay, noted. Okay, from Mr. Rahmat Hidayat. Do you have any experience in regards with praxis framework?
No, praxis, I don't know it. No.
Okay.
No.
Yes, Pak Salani, we have regulation, yeah, a local regulation. Okay, from Mr. Zainal Arifin. Ricardo, thanks for the input. I work on building construction. I think sustainability need to bring all to our design stage, especially on the green energy, which can we use solar panel for electricity. What else we need to concern beside green energy? Because sustainability will also have impact to the operational, especially operational cost.
About green energy, I was recently in a session where it was being discussed that if the green energy is from a business case perspective feasible or not. At the end, the cost of production of the green energy has reduced along the years. So now the price of the solar panels is much more or less than in the past. In fact, I think here in my country, in the new buildings, by regulation, they need to have solar panels. But at the end, checking out the cost of the solar panels and the cost of the electricity right now here in my country, because based on the crisis, the war between Ukraine and Russia, here in Europe, what has happened is that the price of the electricity has increased dramatically, because we are very dependent on the gas that is coming from, well, in our case, is coming from the north of Africa, but Germany is very dependent on the gas that was coming from Russia. So at the end, the cost has increased a lot. So there is an increased awareness of trying to be independent from an energetic point of view, because we see that if we are dependent on other countries or continents, we we are having already problems, but we may have more problems in the future. So there is a huge investment now in trying to find green energy ways to produce our own energy. The price of the solar panels has reduced a lot. Now there is a lot of investment in green hydrogen, and as well is based on use of renewable for generating energy that can be stored in a battery. And every time there is more investment in this area, how we can be independent, how can we use natural sources for producing green energy. So which one is the main concern, at least here in our country and continent, is that we have to try to find ways to be independent from an energetic perspective. We cannot afford to be dependent on the outside. Then, like now, we have this war between Ukraine and Russia, find out that we don't have energy for us. So as every technology, the price in the future will decrease for these green technologies for sure, because for solar already decrease, and for the new ones at the end, with the pass of the years, they will decrease the cost.
Okay, sure. Okay, I think that's last question, yeah, that we have tonight. Okay.
If not, anyway, you have my LinkedIn here in the presentation. Okay. You can put in the chat. You have more questions, I can reply to them. So
okay, we have now in the end of the session of this event. We have photo session. Everyone, please open your camera. Ricardo, can you answer your screen so we can?
Yes. 1 second. Let me look for. Okay.
Okay, I will start capturing the photo. It's spotlight. Spotlight. It's quite a lot tonight. Okay, then.
Okay, thank you, Ricardo. I personally thank you for your sharing today. Very interesting about sustainability. See you for another sharing event, and thank you.
Many thanks, Ricardo.
Thanks for the invitation, and thanks all for your attendance. It was a pleasure.
Ricardo,
So,
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Next time.
Thank you all.
Ricardo.
Thank you all.
Yep.